There is a silent kind of suffering few people ever notice, the pain of always feeling never enough. You carry it quietly, wearing competence like armor while privately drowning in expectations no one asked you to meet. It's the invisible ache of believing you must earn your right to exist. And so you keep going, long after your body is tired and your heart is empty. You keep producing, performing, proving, not out of ambition, but out of fear that if you fall short, you'll be exposed as inadequate. This is not drive, this is survival. This belief, I am never enough, doesn't come from arrogance or ambition. It comes from years of learning that your value was conditional, that love needed to be earned, that worth had to be proven. And so you became a performer in your own life. And so you carried that script into adulthood. You became the overachiever, the fixer, the responsible one, the one who always has it together. But beneath the surface, a terrified voice whispers, "If I stop performing, I lose everything." The tragedy is that people who feel never enough rarely know how exhausted they are. You're carrying emotional weight so normal to you that you don't even realize it's heavy. You call it ambition, discipline, standards, but it's fear wearing a respectable mask. And because shame feels like truth, you obey it. You overwork, you overgive, you overfunction, you never rest, you never feel satisfied. The finish line keeps moving because no achievement can heal a wound built on believing you are fundamentally not enough. People see your accomplishments, not the cost. They see confidence, not the fear behind it. They see competence, not the self-doubt gnawing at your core. You've built a life that looks full from the outside, but feels hollow inside. Feeling never enough is not about achievement. It's about identity. It's the belief that no matter what you do, who you are is somehow lacking, incomplete, insufficient, unworthy. This is not a performance issue. This is a wound. But here's what most people don't understand. People who feel never enough are not weak. They are survivors. You learned to push yourself because life taught you that failing emotionally meant failing entirely. You became your own protector, your own motivator, your own critic. But the person you became to survive is not the person you have to remain. Feeling never enough is not a destiny. It's a story told by fear, reinforced by the past. And like all stories, it can be rewritten. The belief, I am never enough, is not born from laziness or lack. It is born from emotional scarcity. When love, attention, or affirmation were inconsistent, you learned to chase what never stayed. You learned to outrun emptiness. You don't strive to be extraordinary. You strive not to be disappointing. You're not chasing greatness. You're avoiding rejection. Even your highest victories feel like temporary relief rather than real fulfillment. Maybe it was a parent who praised your results, not your efforts. Maybe it was a caregiver whose love depended on your behavior. Maybe it was teachers who expected excellence but ignored your struggle. You learned that worth was conditional, not inherent. These experiences don't create ambition, they create fear. Fear of disapproval, fear of being overlooked, fear of taking up too much space. And so, you grow into someone who excels at everything except one thing, believing you are enough. People who feel never enough carry a unique kind of exhaustion, the exhaustion of constantly trying to outrun a feeling that always catches up, the exhaustion of never being allowed to simply be. But here's the painful irony. The more you do to prove your worth, the further away worthiness feels. The more you achieve, the more the emptiness grows, because the wound is not healed by effort, it is healed by acceptance. This is why high achievers often feel the most inadequate. You built a life around being exceptional, but emotionally, you still feel like the child who wasn't sure if they were lovable without performing. You're successful, but you don't feel successful. You're admired, but you don't feel admirable. You're loved, but you don't feel lovable. Because no external achievement can fill an internal void created by emotional scarcity. At the heart of feeling never enough lies a deeper fear, the fear of being truly seen. Because being seen means being judged, and judgment once meant pain. So you hide behind competence, hoping no one notices your trembling core. People think you're confident, but you're actually self-monitoring. People think you're independent, but you're actually afraid to rely on anyone. People think you're self-assured, but your mind is a constant argument between who you are and who you think you should be. Deep inside you lives a relentless voice, the inner critic. It tells you that you're falling behind, that you should be better, faster, stronger. It polices your every move, turning your mind into a battlefield. The saddest part? You would never speak to someone you love the way you speak to yourself. You offer others patience, compassion, empathy. Yet you treat your own heart like it doesn't deserve any of it. Feeling never enough doesn't only affect how you see yourself, it affects how you connect with others. You fear disappointing them. You fear being too much. You fear not being worth staying for. You apologize even when you've done nothing wrong. You overthink every interaction. You rehearse conversations. You censor your feelings. Because somewhere inside, you believe that the real you might be too much. People who feel never enough often become overachievers in public and overthinkers in private. You show the world your competence, but you hide your exhaustion, your doubt, your fear of not measuring up. You wonder why no one notices your pain. But how can they when you've spent your whole life hiding it? You built a mask so convincing that even you sometimes forget it's there. This wound shapes everything. Your relationships, your career, your dreams, your self-worth. It convinces you that you must earn love, earn rest, earn joy. You believe you have to justify your existence by being useful. And when someone tries to reassure you, you struggle to believe them. Not because they're lying, but because the wound inside you won't allow the truth to land. It filters love through doubt. But here's the truth no one told you. The part of you that feels never enough is not broken. It's wounded. It's the child who never heard, "You're okay as you are." It's the self that learned to survive through perfection. And here's the thing. You don't need to become more. You need to feel safe enough to be who you already are. Healing isn't about upgrading yourself. It's about unlearning the belief that you're incomplete. Healing begins with recognizing that the voice saying, "You're not enough," is not your voice. It's an inherited script, written long before you had the power to question it. You've been reciting someone else's fear as if it were your truth. You've spent years trying to earn rest, earn love, earn belonging. But you can't earn what should have been unconditional. You can only reclaim it, slowly, gently, one moment at a time. One of the most painful truths is this: you don't know how to rest because rest was never modeled as safety. In your world, rest meant risking disappointment, falling behind, losing worth. So rest feels unfamiliar, even dangerous. Rest will feel wrong before it feels right. Receiving will feel selfish before it feels safe. Allowing yourself to be human will feel uncomfortable before it feels natural. Healing begins with tolerating what once felt impossible. The moment you stop over-functioning, the fear rises. What if I'm not enough without the effort? But that fear is the doorway to your healing. It's your inner child finally asking, "Am I worthy without performing?" You don't heal by proving your worth. You heal by seeing it, by noticing your effort, your resilience, your courage, by recognizing all the ways you showed up for yourself when no one else did. You may never fully silence the voice that says, "Not enough," but you can learn to answer it. You can learn to say, "I am trying, I am human, I deserve space. I don't need to be perfect to be loved. When you learn to treat yourself with compassion, the wound begins to close. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself, the pressure lifts. Worthiness grows in the spaces where judgment used to live. You don't heal by becoming extraordinary. You heal by realizing you don't have to be. You heal by stepping off the treadmill of expectations and remembering that being human is enough. And slowly, you begin to feel it. The quiet truth that you were never meant to impress your way into belonging. You were meant to exist, breathe, feel, and be cared for, without conditions. Healing from never enough does not happen in one breakthrough moment. It happens slowly, quietly, in the small choices you make each day. The choice to rest, the choice to stop over-explaining, the choice to speak kindly to yourself, even for one breath. Because you were never meant to hustle for love. You were never meant to validate your existence through effort. Worth is not a prize. It is a birthright, and you've had it all along. You don't heal the never enough wound by becoming more. You heal it by sitting with the truth that you don't need to be anything other than who you already are. You are not a product. You are a person. Because the truth is, you were never meant to carry everything alone. You were never meant to be your own source of love, safety, validation, and comfort. Humans heal in connection, not isolation. Because once you see where the wound came from, you can stop blaming yourself for having it. You can stop treating it like a personal failure. It was never your fault. It was never your burden to carry. That love still exists. That gentleness still exists. You were simply taught to look for it in the wrong places, through impossible standards. But you can learn a new way. You can learn to receive what you were denied. Healing begins when you soften the voice inside you, not silence it. When you say, I know you're afraid, but we're safe now. When you speak to yourself the way you always needed someone to speak to you. You don't become enough by striving. You become enough by remembering worth is not earned. Worth is inherent. Worth has always been yours. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize you don't chase approval the way you used to. The pressure feels lighter. The voice feels softer. The longing feels less desperate. Not because of what you do, not because of what you achieve, not because of who you impress, but simply because you exist, and existence itself is enough.